City of Aurora is going to be under new watering restrictions after this historically dry winter we just got through. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. Within the last couple of hours, the City Council unanimously decided to declare a Stage 1 water shortage. It'll be about a month earlier than seasonal watering limits begin. Starting tomorrow, people will be limited to outdoor watering 2 times a week. They can't fill backyard swimming pools. They're not allowed to run water features like fountains, and restaurants will only be allowed to serve water by request. The city says enforcement will be strict this year. For the first violation, people will get warnings. After that, they'll start getting fines. And if they get enough violations, they could have their water turned off.
Really needing people to help us out and create the savings in our water supply. Otherwise, we are kind of borderline already to heading towards a Stage 2 restriction, which would be even more dramatic.
The city says they have metering technology that allows them to track water use in practically real time.
So Aurora is following a couple of other cities around the metro area enforcing mandatory water restrictions. Denver and Thornton are already doing it. Arvada plans to start middle of the month. Erie declared a water supply shortage last month, then pulled it after people conserved hundreds of thousands of gallons amid threats that they would shut off individual water users. Kathy Sabin, right? So we see these municipalities that are out early and they're out with, pretty strongly worded warnings to people.
It's probably good to get ahead of this and have all of us thinking about this now, preparing, planning, and kind of getting of the mindset of saving water at this point. Unless there's a major shift in the weather pattern, it's going to become a big problem that affects all of us. Although this week, we are tracking the chance for a few light showers almost every day this week, with a little more mountain snow coming in as well. Temperatures have been comfortable. We were in the 60s today. We dropped down into the 40s and 50s tonight. A weak front backed into western Colorado. Right up against the foothills, we are seeing kind of a little bit of an increase in the winds out of the east this evening, especially out on the eastern plains, but that's just going to keep some low-level moisture in place and kind of give us a cool night. We've got a chance for some showers tomorrow, especially tomorrow afternoon. We're sitting in between 2 storms, a line of showers from Rapid City to Omaha, and then a separate low-pressure system to the south that has generated a few rain and snow showers over the southern mountains. The moisture is limited, but tomorrow afternoon between 4 and 6, we may have a line of showers that cross over Denver, and we might have a little brief downpour for some areas, which would be wonderful to see. The temperatures will trend colder tonight in the mid-30s, bus stop temperatures in the mid-40s. Coming up, we have elevated fire danger to be concerned with on Wednesday ahead of the next round of moisture and chance for mountain snow. The timing and impact of all of this is just ahead.
A fire that shut down a portion of Roxborough State Park over the weekend is now fully contained. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says the so-called Bear Creek fire was first detected by an AI camera Saturday night. It burned about 11 acres in the Pike National Forest. A portion of Roxborough was closed down as a precaution. A few areas reopened today, but there's still some trails that are closed. It's not clear just yet what started the fire.
Employees at the JBS meatpacking plant in Greeley plan to return to work tomorrow following a 3-week strike, and they still don't have a new contract. Some are headed back disappointed. Roughly 3,800 workers walked off the job in mid-March. They're looking for higher pay and safer working conditions. A union rep says the strike's ending because JBS has agreed to negotiate with them, but JBS says its final offer is unchanged.
Disappointed more so than angry, because the union has made so many promises to us.
I think that's where the confusion is. It's a win. I mean, before we went on strike, we didn't have any negotiation dates scheduled. Because of the power and the pressure they were receiving by the strike, finally did agree to come back to negotiations.
There are bargaining sessions scheduled for Thursday and Friday. In a statement, JBS told us their final offer is just that.
All 5 schools in the Sheridan School District in Arapahoe County will open tomorrow, even as teachers continue their strike. Last week, all schools were shut down for 3 days after nearly 100 teachers and other employees started picketing. Today, the district opened 4 out of 5 of those schools, excluding Sheridan High. Tomorrow, it says they'll be able to reopen all of them. Educators have been working without a contract since August. The union and district went back to the bargaining table over the weekend, but haven't come to an agreement.
Work to find the remains of Native children who died at a government boarding school in Colorado more than a century ago has been ongoing for years, but that work is proving extremely difficult.
And the people leading the work are now asking for the public's help. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us with more on that. Rachel?
Yeah, state lawmakers passed a bill designed to help back in 2024, but with few records and a massive area where that cemetery could be, locating the children's remains has proved tough. Now, project leaders are asking community members who had family in the area to come forward, sharing any hints that might help.
It's really difficult for tribes to have the discussion of how to memorialize if we're not even certain where their children are.
For decades, Native children in Colorado and around the country were taken from their families and sent to boarding schools as part of forced assimilation programs. At the Teller Institute, then called the Grand Junction Indian School, it's unclear just how many children never left.
So definitely there's at least 30 some, but there could be more. We don't know for certain.
Philip Gover is the director of Tribal Indigenous Engagement at History Colorado. He says for years they've searched for that cemetery and those children.
Trying to find the cemetery at Grand Junction Indian School has been very difficult. The archival record wasn't very clear or had been damaged in certain areas. The concept of the school cemetery could be right there on the property. It might not even be on the property.
Federal records where they exist are unclear. Gover says ground-penetrating radar at the site has helped, but without a clear idea where the cemetery sits, it's hard to search such a large area.
It's just a slow process if you're going to be thorough, and that's what we want to be. We're not looking to just guess and say, let's figure this out. We need to know.
Now they're asking for the community to get involved, sharing stories, documents, anything that might help.
The school itself closed in 1910, so we're talking about time that's probably a couple generations back in knowledge, but those who lived in the area probably were aware. And we're hoping to be able to kind of pinpoint that direction.
Gover says until they find these children's remains, tribal communities and families are unable to move forward, unable to heal.
These are children, it's our ancestors, and they have every right to be treated as respectful as anyone else's family.
Gover says for anyone who might have old records or family history to share, they'll be holding a community gathering in Grand Junction on April 21st. They're also taking tips online through History Colorado. We'll have a link to that on this story online. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
The proposed passenger train from Fort Collins down to Pueblo now has a name, but the Colorado Connector, or COCO as they're calling it, still doesn't have all the funding required to build it out. The state wants that train to start taking passengers between Denver and Fort Collins by 2029. That stretch already has its funding. It's the rest of the line between Denver and Pueblo that's uncertain. Front Range Passenger Rail District will need to ask taxpayers to fund it through a sales tax, but at this point the district is not saying how much it will cost.
We'll have that all public and shared with the public in the next month or two if we refer something to the ballot.
So if voters approve the tax in 2026, full train up and down the Front Range is projected to be running by 2023. Still a lot of uncertainty considering that the backers haven't even decided if they're going to put that sales tax initiative on the ballot in November.
Grandview High School alum Lauren Betts is now a national champion. She helped lead the UCLA Bruins to their first ever title last night.
And when she went out to talk to the media before the Final Four this week, she looked out and saw a familiar face. 9 News reporter Spencer Soysher has that.
AP Statistics, period 4B, Grandview High School, fall of 2021, spring of 2022.
Do you remember who you sat next to in high school math class?
I believe I got like a B+.
4 years after his Grandview days, Oliver Fell is now a student journalist at Arizona State. He was in Phoenix last week, covering the women's Final Four, ready to ask his high school classmate a question.
You have a chance to do the same thing. How special would that be?
Oh my gosh, it would be insane.
That's UCLA basketball star, national champion, and Grandview alum Lauren Betts. And she didn't forget her classmate, Oliver.
Every game possibly being your last.
Can I go first? Just so everyone here knows, I went to class with him. He was in my AP Stats class, so this is like insane. This is so cool. I'm so happy you're here. This is so awesome.
Well, after it happened, I was just ear to ear. It was better than I could have ever imagined. It was strange because you wonder how important they're important to me, but I don't know how important I am to them.
The video of that moment has more than 100,000 likes on ESPN's Instagram. After the press conference ended, the two caught up again on the side.
Basically, she asked like where I was going to school, what I was doing here, what I planned on doing after school.
Oliver says they both passed that AP stats class, and Beth just passed Oliver's "Do you remember me?" test.
To know that she was just that excited to see me was so nice and sweet.
I had to get a hold of. She powered her team to the national championship yesterday, won the most outstanding player of the Final Four right after, and she's projected to be a top 5 pick in next week's WNBA draft.
And if anybody had any question about whether or not she's somebody to root for, you watch that reaction. That is so genuine. That is so sweet.
Everything about it, the way she talked about her sister and how close they are, like best friends. I mean, you just love her. You just love her. That's so sweet. How cool.
Yeah, it's super easy to root for, right?
Yeah.
I know. One day that's going to happen to you, Spencer. You're going to cover somebody and they're going to, sit next to you at East High.
Do you remember who you sat next to in math class?
I don't remember math. I'm going to be honest. Sorry, got me embarrassed. Spencer, you got me.
Spencer Sorsher, thank you.